All right. All right. First stream. We're doing it. Hey, everyone. I'm Vaughn. I'm a wedding and athlete photographer here in Ontario, Canada. And this is my first live stream. Cool. Hopefully somebody shows up. If not, we're just going to do a little bit of editing today. Let's see. We got everything going. Got Lightroom here. So yeah, officially my first live stream. Hopefully this is going out and people are actually can see it, hear it. Let's see. Hopefully we don't break anything. If we do, just keep it to yourself. Let's see. If anyone does show up, I'm happy you're here. But if you do end up catching this on the replay, which I'm assuming most people will, then thanks for being here then. This is going to be a pretty chill session. We're going to work through some edits, answer some questions if anything comes up. We'll talk photography, editing, stuff like that. It's not going to be a wedding edit. I've pretty much delivered all my weddings. I'm ready to go this weekend again. But I was out at a golf tournament with my nephew. He's a golfer here, and brought the camera along as usual, and we took a few pictures of him. So I'm going to use those photos from those separate tournament days to go through some edits. Let's see if we do Lightroom. I'm going to use Lightroom Classic for you photo nerds like myself, and I think we'll talk through my process for each photo, how I kind of edit things, how I go through my different filters, gradients, touch-ups, all that kind of fun stuff. Let's see, do this. I'm trying to get this Lightroom up on the screen here. Bear with me. There we go. So let's close this in Lightroom. Success. All right. Lightroom is a go. All right. So, like I said, these are going to be golf photos. I pulled out a whack of them earlier, which is kind of where I got the idea for this live stream. I figured I was looking for something I could do for a live stream, what I could talk about. And as I started to edit these pictures earlier today, I'm like, this would be a perfect live stream. I could just talk editing, talk photos. And so here we are. So a few of these I've already done, but 90% of them still need to be touched up. Let's check. Got all right, so we're flying solo so far. No problem. Let's get some editing done. All right, so we've got, this is my nephew here up on the first tee blocks. This was at the Ontario Junior Championships, which I will brag, he won. Boom. So we're going to work on this first set of images here. This is opening drive. So what I like to do first is I want to set my image size first. So I got this at a 5x7. That's usually my go-to for most images. I think it's a good starting point for what I do. Check out my horizon, make sure everything looks like it's pretty straight. Everything's lined up. That looks pretty good. So this one I started earlier. This is actually the image that gave me the idea. So this one I've already started to touch up a little bit. So if we go on to the next one in the series, you can see we got these ropes and stuff like that that are blocking people from getting up on the tee blocks. And over here in this first one, they're not there because I removed them already. I'm gonna save that because I don't want to do any of those. What I want to do is I want to just bring up just the exposure just in this bottom part. I'm a huge radial filter guy. I use them pretty much on every image that I do have to touch up. I just love a good radial filter. Who doesn't? Give that a little bump. My sky is a little bit too fakey blue on this side. Just gonna lighten that up a little, just balance out that sky a little tiny bit, a little bit less. There. I need to center him a little bit. Bring him down. I want to get him just on the back half of center. Right about there. The torque in that club. Atta boy. I think that looks pretty good. Highlights are a little high. Bring those down a bit. Maybe just on his shirt. It's a little bright. Bring that down. It's kind of unfortunate the other player had to be standing right behind him, so you can't quite see the sign behind. I'm not going to mess around and crop him out because Lightroom's going to do a terrible job at filling in that text in behind him for sure. That one looks pretty good. Bring it down a little tiny bit. I don't want to lose too much of the sign, but I want to fill the frame a little bit more with him. Keeping that logo in the back. Yeah, I think I like that. So we're going to come back to crop out those posts and the rope. Same idea here. Check my ground is nice and straight. So on this, I'm just kind of using the line across the bottom, just the top of the grass. And as soon as you go to move, you can kind of see the little grid lines there. They kind of line up to give you that straight horizontal. And sometimes you get a little distortion with the lens. So you want to match it up with any sort of vertical post as well, which in this case, I've got a nice sign that's right there, and kind of just find that balance so the image is nice and straight. Few things worse than a crooked image. And I tend to shoot with like a 5 to 15% tilt. Every photo I take just has a slight little tilt for whatever reason. You photographers know what I'm talking about. So let's bring this top line right down to around his eye line. See how that looks. I think I like that. Bump a little contrast. Bring down those highlights a little tiny bit. That looks good. That looks good. Next. I'm not sure I like this one. I'm going to take that one right out. Yeah, I don't want that one. Take that one right out. So I got a set of 3 now. Backswing, swing, follow through. I think that's a good series. Yeah, that's a good series. Like that. Okay, so we got our first 3 shots edited. This one's a little dark. Let's pull that sky a little bit. Probably a little bit more than I want to do with radials. I think I probably could have used the sky, but I don't like the way the sky. No, I shouldn't say that. I guess the sky mask is a great tool, but I find the edges when it edges around trees and things like that. I don't like the way you kind of get a little bit of overlap and you get that kind of fringing. I don't quite like the way that looks. I kind of like to do the reverse sometimes, where I'll kind of use my brush and paint over the top of the trees, and then I'll reverse out with the sky mask to subtract the sky. I find that works a little bit better with it's a little more refined edge. Let's brighten up this sign a little bit. Take out the subject. So if you're not doing this in your editing, there's a cool little hack. So let's just use the radio, for example. So I use my radio filter here, and I just want to brighten up, say, this area of the frame, but I don't want to brighten up my subject itself. I can kind of bring out my radio, spread that across the area that I want to brighten up, and then I can go up and just underneath here, you can, oh, it's not showing up on the stream. I don't know where that is. But when you pull up your masking layer, you'll see just below it, there's a plus and a minus sign. If you click the minus sign, it'll give you a drop-down menu where you can select what you want to subtract from that selection. In this case, I want to subtract the subject. So in this case, it's my nephew standing there swinging the club. So I'm going to select that, and you'll see him get deselected, which is really cool. I use this feature quite a bit, and now I can go ahead and brighten up the background without touching him. So I just want to brighten up just a tiny little bit behind him like that. There we go. So there's the before of the image. There's the after. Before, after. You can see how underexposed my image is by probably a stop or two. The reason is it was a pretty bright day, so I wanted to stop down a little bit just so I could preserve some of the highlights in the sky. So you can see I can actually pull a little bit back in the sky there. Yeah, like that. So we can go and crop out. Let's crop out this little rope. I'll highlight this green bar. Select that. Nope, just this. Right through there to the next post. No, it's had enough there. Okay, let's do that then. I'm not going to fight with you, Lightroom. All right, I got one selection there. Oh, there, it just didn't highlight on the stream. There you go. So our rope's gone. Or after, rope's gone. Get rid of this little last bar here. I get a little queasy when I'm around text. Doesn't always get the text quite right. Why didn't that go? Let's try that again. Pull that down. Come on, baby. You can do it. Come on, baby. Nope. Try that again. Fingers crossed. That's better. See the text? Change the P to an R. No bueno. Let's do it in chunks. There and there. Photoshop does so much better of a job at cropping, and its AI masking. It's so much better. If you know, you know. That was no bueno as well. All right, this is not the time to do a lousy job. I'm doing a stream here. Don't have time to troubleshoot this. Come on, baby. Ooh, that's not going to be good. All right, last chance. We're going to move on. Ooh, swing and a miss. You know what? This is a job for Photoshop. Let's move on. All right. And one down, one down. I'm going to save that one. Let's move on to these. So these ones I've touched up already. It's the series. Nice. It's nice and crisp. And that big old beaver tail. I know it was on this one. There it is. Big old beaver tail. There we go. This one's untouched. So we're gonna go. I think I'm gonna leave this at 5 by. Oh no. Yeah, I want 4 by 6 on this. I want a little more context with the green and everything. Slide it over. You can see the hole right there. My good old radio. Bump this up. Subtract the background. Okay, so far we've brightened him up a little bit. And the reason I use the radial here instead of using the subject mask, so if you're not familiar with Lightroom, right up here, these are your masking options. So you can select your subject. So in this case would be my nephew putting. You can select the background, you can select the sky, you can select people and their facial features, body features, all that kind of stuff. So it's really handy. But what I want to do is you can see the shadow is coming across. If I just go back to the original, the shadow's coming. So the sun's over here on the left, the light's coming through this way. So I want to use a gradient. So the light is brighter on one side and it kind of just tails off. So it matches the existing photo. If I was to use a subject photo and increase the exposure, did I say that right? Subject mask, yeah. So if I was to use the subject mask, so I just focused on my nephew, and then hit the exposure and bumped it up a little bit, his entire body would go up at the same sort of. And I don't want that. I just want one side to go up at a higher rate. I want the exposure to be higher, like a gradient would be. So if it's coming from the left to the right, I want it to fill in that way. It'll look sharp. It'll look good. So we got there. And we're going to brighten up the green a little bit. Let's get room. So let's brighten up the green a little bit. Just where he's putting. Keep the focus on there. A little bit of brighten up the trees over here where the sun was coming through. Warm it up a little bit. Give his caddy some love. He was a little bit overexposed on his pinny. There we go. I think we're good. How we do? Not much to be done on this one. Might just get rid of. It's a little distracting. It's like a ball marker there. Cut those out. I think we're good. Less is more. Keep that in mind. Less is more. I know in my earlier days, I would just edit the shit out of some pictures and they'd go from like not so great to reasonable. And then I would just keep going way too far and then go to good to just like, what were you thinking, Vaughn? All right. There's a good one there. See the ball over here? Drive going up, Adam. I don't think there's much to be done here. I think we already did this one or something on this. Clean up the tee box a little bit. Not something you really need to do. I just like to do it because I like clean images. I like to keep things as clean as possible without impacting the image too much. Like, I don't know, that looks like it's a post out there. I don't want that. It's distracting. Tops of those trees, give them a little bit of love. There we go. I think we're good. Nice. Next. I'm posing his butt off. This one's been touched up already, I believe. Yeah. Sky was a little bit gloomy. Let's brighten it up a little bit. Give it some good vibe weather. Let's see, take a pause here for a second. Make sure we're still actually live. We're good. I can see myself. All right, next picture. So we got a series here. 1, 2, 3. Line it up. What are we looking at? Got the pin over there. Yeah. So there's the pin there. So I want to. I don't think 5x7 is going to fit here. No. Let's go back to 4x6. More context. So we want to keep the focus on the pin here. And we'll bring this across. So linear gradient. I don't want to darken it down too much. I just want to bring the focus. So you want the brightest part of the image. That's where the eye is going to go. So I'm trying to keep the brighter parts of the image where I want my viewer to look, where I want their eye to go to. So up here, this is where I want the focus to be. Right there. I'm going to reverse that. Darken down just the edges, just a tiny little bit. I don't want it to be too noticeable. I want it to be subtle, but I want the eye to go right where I need it to be. So in this case, he's lining up his shot here. The pin's directly behind him. That's where I want that focal point to be. His caddy is a little bit bright, but his caddy was part of the story that day. This is a good friend of his that was caddying for him for that round. So I want to make sure I keep him as a fairly prominent feature in the image as well. All right, darken on this a little tiny bit. And we're going to use that feature of the removing the subject. There we go. And then I can bring down the highlights a little bit just on the fairway. There we go. Like that. Sometimes I'll do this probably 20, 30 times just to make sure that I really am happy with it and I really double checking that I didn't go too far. Got to check yourself. Let's see. That's pretty good. A couple little distractions out here in the field that I don't like. I don't know what that white dot is up there. But she gone now. And this looks like maybe a light pole or something over there. She gone too. All right, I think I'm good with that. This side's a little too dark. That's good there. I dig it. I dig it. So what we can do here, since we've got these three in a row and I was standing right behind them and I didn't really move that much. So what we can do is we can sync all three of these. So I can highlight all three, sync them, mask them all. It's not catching my pop-up on the stream, but there. So now you can see all three of them are back. So now we've done a batch edit on all those three because they're all part of the same set. There. So before and after on all three. So now we've got consistency across all three. Consistency in your images, if you're just starting out, you really want to have as much consistency as possible from your first image to your last. It's going to vary a little bit because you're going to be shooting different times of the day, but you want to try and keep them as consistent as possible. And when you're starting out, it's difficult to do because a lot of times you're kind of just messing with your settings and you're a little bit up in your head, and consistency is not really what you're focused on. You're focused on just trying to get the shot, which I totally understand. But here is a great tool when you're trying to edit a bunch of images at once. If they're part of the same basic setting or scene, I should say, it's a nice little tool to just batch. So you select all three, make sure the one that you're edited already, that's the first one you have selected. And then you can just click over here, the sync button. It's not popping up. There's a little window that'll pop up with your settings. You just select all your settings and then it'll copy them across and you're good to go. So then I go and I touch them up just in case. Get my alignment right. This needs to be 4:6. I don't like the way I shot this one. I was a little bit too high on this. You know what? What if I just do this instead? Crop out the caddy just for this one. Should be a nice clean it. Yeah, much better. I like that. It's not just a clean shot, just his follow through. Posing his ass off again. Sure we're sharp. Yeah, we're sharp. So we got lining it up, backswing, follow through. And there's the ball. That's the ball, yeah. And let's get rid of that white spot out there in the field again. And this one. And the light post. There we go. I like. That one looks level. This one does not look level. Like that. I like that. Looks good. Check and see if I'm still going. Still going. Okay. Slide down. Let's pick up the pace a little bit. This one's a little further out. And crop down a little bit. It was a little bit too far away. This one here I was using my 70-200 lens. I was probably, yeah, zoomed in all the way at 200. It's still too far back. But there we go. So we'll brighten up this where my subject is. Keep the eye going right to where I want it to go. It's a little bright down here, so I'm going to darken this down a little tiny bit. Not everything, just the highlights. Bring the highlights down a little tiny bit. Just helps draw the eye in to my subject. I think that's pretty good. Oh, we got these wires in the background. Do not like little distractions. Hydro lines. A couple more up here. Photoshop's got a new feature where it takes out lines for you. It's pretty handy. I don't use it that much. Don't typically get that many hydro lines or power lines in my photos. Shooting out here where I do. I don't live in the city, so I don't get stuck with all those nasty background distractions. Not that often anyways. Typically shoot up in cottage country, so I'm on lakes and rocks and forests and stuff, which is super nice. I'm going to brighten up this tee box a little tiny bit just to bring a little more attention to it. That looks good. I dig it. Next. Right to the resolution, size. Bring him down here. There we go. Bring down the highlights. Helps show some of that grass. I'm gonna darken some of this foreground down. It's like a big hump that I was shooting through from behind and just zooming across it. So I'm always trying to be less of a distraction to the athlete. In this case, in golf, I'm trying to stay out of their line of sight. So that way they can focus on what they're doing and are not distracted by me. So that's why a good zoom lens is really handy in this situation. In this case, my longest zoom is a 7200. It's perfect for weddings. It's probably my favorite lens. But for sports and stuff like that, it's just not long enough a lot of the time. But it does the trick. Let's do another linear gradient here, just to darken down the foreground a little bit. Not too much, just subtly. See, like that, it's a little bit overexposed. And now I can select my subject. You'll see him turn red here in a second. Select the subject. So that's my masking feature that I was showing you right here. And now I'll just bump the exposure a tiny little bit on him. Not too much. All right, give him a little bit of clarity. I don't know what it is. I kind of like to do this to the dudes, like the athletes, give them just a tiny little bump in clarity. Where with my weddings, it's the opposite. I actually have a default setting where it actually takes the clarity down about, I think it's -3 for blanket across all my images. It just softens things a little tiny bit. I find it a little more appropriate for a wedding. For athletes, I tend to give them a little more refined edges. I don't think I'm going to do anything else to this. Let's check. Yeah, I am going to do a little bit. Background gradient. Right there. Just on the shadow of the hill behind him. Subtract my subject. So it should make him pop a little bit more. Just a tiny little bit. Like that. He's a little too bright. I overcooked him a little bit. Let's go back to my mask, select him. Let's take that exposure down a little bit. I gave him a little bit too much. How's that? Much better. So I'll set up my rule of thirds now that I've cropped it a little bit. Let's get back to it. I think we're good here, kids. Oh, I want to give him a little bit more. Just want to give him a little more runway. So I know he's going to be putting from right to left here. So I want to give a little bit more of the green to show, just to show the distance he's going to be going. As opposed to if I would have cropped it like this, it just looks a little bit weird. Like he's kind of going off into nowhere because I've cropped it off there. And this to the right side of the frame over here, not really needed. It's kind of behind him, right? He's not going that way. So we're going to recrop it this way. So now he's looking across the screen this way. Just a little more interesting to the eye. There's the putt. That's not exactly the same set. So I'm not going to copy my settings over on that. But I am going to use that same putting across the screen crop. It's pretty good there. Before, after, just subtle little changes. Just tightens the image up a little bit. Just subtle little changes. Lining up another putt. You can see my horizon here. So this is a tricky one. So you can see the tent over here. And the posts, they look like they're perfectly vertical. However, the green has got to slope this way. I definitely wouldn't trust a green because they all slope to a certain degree. So I'm not going to adjust my my horizon on this one. I'm going to leave it the way it is. I'm going to go with this tent, although that flagpole is a little bent. I like that. So the tent's vertical. I know the tent will be vertical. The flag's vertical. It's a little bit of a slope on the green, so I'm going to leave it as is there. Bring down my highlights so it brings up the grass a little bit more. Use my linear gradient just to darken down the foreground a little bit, which helps draw the eye to my subject. There we go. And in this case, I'm going to have that a little bit brighter up on the top of the trees. I started doing this, I don't know how many years ago now. I just like it, just brings a little something to the image. I want to just balance it out a little bit. So it covers part of your subject. There. The color's a little off. Let's color up this side. There we go. So before, after, and he's got to be little bump in clarity. Oh, you can see my setting. I'm a -3 clarity. It's my wedding setting. I'm going to bump that to about +3 instead. Just a little bit. Gives a little more definition on an athlete's body, like that definition in the legs, arms, back, like everything. It just gives a little more definition there. Let's highlight the green right over here. So that's where the pin is. I want to draw the eye there slightly. It's pretty good. Maybe brighten up the little tiny bit, just the shadows in the tent. How we do? How does the stream look? Looks good. Before, after. And this next image is for the same set. So I'm just going to copy my settings over. How are we doing so far? 40 minutes. All right. This one's got to straighten up. Straighten up the tent. Let's give a little more context. There we go. Oh, let's see. He's putting there. The ball's already gone. There's the ball right there. So it's difficult to see. The ball, if I would have took the shot just a fraction of a second earlier, the ball would have been right about here. That would have been great because that white ball would have popped off the background. So what we got to do is maybe just adjust add a little bit of shadow to that. Let's get my brush. And I'm just gonna burn a little bit of the shadow on this ball. Just a little tiny bit, just so it pops. I'm gonna exaggerate it just so you can see it on the screen. So that's where I use my brush. So I'm just gonna tone that back, just a little bit of shadow, like that. Tiny little bit. So now that before and after, you can see the ball just pops a little bit more. Just helps the viewer's eye just to pick up the ball a little bit easier, where they very likely, I wouldn't blame them if they did miss it completely, but we've done our best to highlight it. Let's bring up the green a little bit. Just so the eye's there, that shadow will pop off it a little bit more. He's pretty sharp. Everything looks good there. That's pretty good. I'm gonna balance out the woods a little bit. Don't want it to look too obvious that I have a gradient filter where the sky is peeking through here. Don't want it to be too obvious. There you go. I think that's good. Before, after. This might actually be a little bit too much. I'm going to dial that back a little bit. I think it might be a little bit too much. Let's dial that back a little tiny bit. A little bit too warm. Yeah, I like that better. More better. Let's see. A shot with his buddy, caddying for him. Use that rule of thirds for them. Let's go to 5x7. Looks pretty good. Warm it up a tad. Down those highlights a little bit. I think that's pretty good. Not much to be done here. I like that. Body definitely overblown. The green here a little bit. A little too bright. Bring it down a little bit. Ball pops. Make it a 5x7. That's pretty good. Just the way it is. Yep, that one's cooked. Here's my tilt again. Always shooting with a tilt. The ball. Yeah. Let's see. Why did I use a gradient there? That should be a linear. There we go. Let's crop that a little bit tighter. That's good the way it is. Up clarity. All the same set, copy settings. There we go. Oh, you know what? I'm going to change this one just to catch that little beaver tail flying up there. Always fun to see. So we'll crop that differently than the rest. Yeah. Always with the big pose, eh? I would too if I could shoot like he does. Sadly, he's been beating me since he was 8, maybe 9. And he's been beating me convincingly since he was 10 for sure. Although it's not saying much, I suck, but let's see. You know what? This one's tricky because he's backlit here. So this one's going to be tricky. So I'm going to select subject, and I'm going to just, I would be tempted to do the exposure, but it's going to start to look fake because he's so backlit. At least that's what I think is going to happen. Let's test it out. It's starting to. So I can do a little bit. I can get away with a little bit. So you can see the way his calves are starting to light up. That's what I want because that's where the natural highlight is, just on his calf. So if I was to go too much, see, he just looks totally fake, right? Because he's not lit from the back. You can easily see that he's lit from the other side. He's backlit. So I'm going to pull that back down and just bring it up a little bit just to like, so those highlights start to spread a little bit. Shadow is not going to be my friend here, if that's going to do the same sort of thing. I'm going to use highlights. It's going to subtly spread them for me. Like that. Maybe just a dash more here. And then I'm going to use clarity for the rest. Teeter-totter with clarity. It's a little fakeish. Let's bring that down a little bit. I like that better. So you can still see some shadow on the front side of his leg, or on his shin side, but then his calf is still highlighted. So it looks a little more realistic. Pull that back. Basically, what I'm looking for is I want my images to be edited, but I don't want them to look like they've been edited. So it's a fine line. When you're first starting out, it's difficult to find. I mean, it's difficult to find still, and I've been doing this for 15 years. It's difficult still. I think that's the crop there. I don't trust the green. I remember this green, it was pretty sloped. So I'm using this house over here, this vertical corner of the house. I'm using that to kind of show me where my, what's upright and what's not. All right, next. The distance. Let's make this a horizontal, which will give me an automatic bump with the crop. It's pretty good. Drop it in here. I'm going to use this bag, keep that in. We're going to get rid of these posts. Actually, I'm not going to do that just yet. Do him. Subject. Just a hair. I think that's pretty good. Post be gone. That's horrible. Let's do the AI crop out instead. Sound effects help. Keeps me entertained on those, 500 plus image edit marathons. Don't worry, this is not one of those. pretty good. So we got our before, after. I don't think we need to do much here. It's a pretty straightforward image. I bump the exposure a little bit, claw back some of the highlights. I like that. Looks good. What we got left? A few more. Now we're doing for time 51 minutes. Ooh, we're going to keep it at an hour. Good stuff. That was my arbitrary goal. I don't know why I picked an hour, but that's what I was aiming for. Missed the green on this one, but I do remember this hole. He dropped it right about here on the chip. It's got some pretty silky mitts. Brighten that up. Extract the background. That looks fake. Let's bring it back. And that definitely looks fake. Pick up that green and just give a little sun up in the trees. Help balance out the exposure on him. Just subtle. That's not subtle. There. More better. Pick up the grass behind him. That's pretty good. He's still a little bit too bright. There we go. There goes 5x7. T blocks. Let's just bring up the whole exposure everywhere. Bring up the shadows. Brings in some of that peripheral color on the edges. And pull the highlights down a little bit. Pull him up. Subtract the background. I think that's good there. I think we're good there. You know what? I think those trees on the edges look a little fake, don't you? A little bit fake. Let's do a little gradient. Reverse it. And we're just going to pull down those trees on the edge. Like that there. Highlight that tee box a little bit. Like that. Think we're good. We sharp. Sharp. So now we got another set right behind them. So we go back to our original. Highlight the four that we want to batch. Sync all those settings. Go back to the original one that's been edited. Sync. And give it a second. And then all of them down here will change. There we go. So now they're all synced the same. All the same settings, just for consistency's sake. Let's see. And that one's overcooked there. So I'm going to bring down the exposure on that. Still a little bit overcooked. On the highlights a little bit. About there. Overcook that a little bit. Bring down those highlights as well. Right about there. Just what we're looking for is just looking for balance. So we want the image to, we want the viewer's eye to go to where we want it to, which is usually going to be the brightest spot of the frame, and your subject. So, and if you can kind of line those two together, your subject being the brightest part of the frame, it helps. Let's see, that's a little bit bright as well. Let's cross that. There. Ooh, look at that. I didn't know I could do that. I don't know if I'm just going to start pressing a bunch of buttons and see what happens. I need that. What do I do? Oh yeah, that's cool. Anyways, stay focused. Stay focused. We only got a few left. And I got 3 minutes. We can do it. No, let's go 5x7. He does driver. Oh yeah. Second shot, driver off the deck. I mean, oh yeah. Golfers, you'll understand that. That's just not in my wheelhouse. So here's what I'm going to play. So this is kind of wonky. It's kind of getting close to the end of the day, and the colors are getting a little bit muddy. So I don't want it to be too warm, and that's just the way that time of day, things get a little bit extra warm. With all that dead grass in the background, though, it makes things a little too warm for my liking. Oh, I like this side. He's going that way. Bring down the highlights a little bit for more balance. Real subtle. Clarity. There we go. And we can sync these because the next three are all part of the same series. All's good. No, that wasn't driver. It is. Last one. I think that's pretty good too. Before or after. There we go. And there's all of our images. Started back here. Whoop. Go back. That one's a little too bright. Little touch up. What we do. I think we're good, kids. I think we're good. I mean, seriously, with the posing. Yeah, see, this one feels a little dark. You know what? Let's bump this up a little bit. That one looks a little dark. There. Little extra bump. That one looks okay. There we go. More better. There we go. All right. That's it. We are good. We made it through all those images. 33, it looks like. And it was 1 hour and 1 minute. Not bad at all. Okay, first stream in the bag. We got a grand total of 3 viewers. Thank you very much for watching. If you like this sort of format, like editing pictures and following along, let me know in the comments. If you're watching on the replay, let me know as well. I'd like to know what sort of things you guys would like to see on a stream, or maybe in future videos as well. So I will see you guys in the next one. See ya.